Good evening, champions. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. It's yours truly, Arian Tyson. I'm back from vacation. I haven't talked to you all in about 2 weeks. The wait is over. I got a lot to talk about. I learned a lot while I was on vacation. And so, having said all that, if you're just hopping on, thank you for tuning in. And if you're just hopping on, let me know in the comment section by saying hello. I trust that your Tuesday has been a blessed one. I wish I would have took an extra day off, but nevertheless, I'm just grateful to be back before you once again. We're about to dive in shortly. Let some people know that I'm live. Miss Minnie, thanks for tuning in. What's up, cuz? And Stephanie, thanks for tuning in. Right on. Hey, champions, welcome to tonight's edition of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. It is yours truly, Arian Tyson, the Moving Motivator, back at you in my office here in Slicktown, the STL. And I am just excited to be back doing this from vacation. I wish I was still on vacation, but nevertheless, I had an awesome week. Had a chance to go out of town, out of the country to Rivera Maya, Mexico. And it was my second time in Mexico, but it was my first time in Mexico in almost 5 years. Exactly. And if I look a little darker than normal, that's why. Because I've been out in the Mexican heat, in the Mexican sun, and I just had an awesome time. It was by far the best vacation I have ever had. And it was really my first true vacation that I had in the last 7 years. And obviously my life has turned upside down since the last time I had a real vacation. My life has turned upside down in the last year and a half. But while I was on vacation, and I gotta shout out the entire Trouble Squad. I gotta shout them out. Hey sis, thanks for tuning in. And thanks for the love that you showed me on Instagram. I had to think about if you left a comment on Instagram or on Facebook, but you left on Instagram. So thanks so much. I appreciate you leaving that comment on my Instagram as I was heading back from Cancun back to St. Louis. Having said all that, I want to share with you some lessons that I've learned on this vacation. And again, I gotta shout out the Trouble Squad. I gotta shout them out because It was basically 8 of us. It started as about 12 of us, but due to financial obligations and other important stuff, a couple people backed out, and then there was some issues I'm not going to get into, where 2 of the individuals were not able to go with us to Mexico, but they were able to have their own fun with one another in Puerto Rico. And so we all had a chance to get out of the country, just kind of get away from the regular life and get away from children, because most of us that went have children. And we had a ball. The turn up was real. If you followed my post and followed the pictures on Instagram or Facebook, you saw that it was real. You saw that it was live. And nevertheless, we looking forward to the next trip. So having said all that, I want to share with you some things that I learned, because I had a chance to really sit back and reflect on some things that have happened in my life, and some things that happened even while I was on vacation. Hey sis, thanks for the welcome back. It's always good to hear from the Educated Natural. Appreciate the love as always. And that's one of the things that I learned, because when you do something out of the ordinary, you really see who's for you and you really see who's against you. And that was one of the things that I really learned. One of the valuable lessons I learned from this vacation. I had a lot of people hit me up that I know were just being nosy. Because over time, you really have a chance to really see who really has your best interest at heart. Who really cares about you, who really got love for you, and who's really talking nonsense. And over the 2 weeks since I did my last podcast, I really got a chance to see who really is talking nonsense. Because where I'm from, if you want to know something about what's going on with me, one thing I am not a proponent of, and one thing that I really have no respect for, is when you don't ask the source. When you would rely on going to a resource instead of the source. What do I mean by that? Let me know in the comment section if you would rather hear something firsthand or hear something secondhand. Because for me, I am not someone that likes to hear secondhand information. And because I made the sacrifices, and because all of the people that went with me on vacation made the sacrifices, this is not something that we just decided to, talk about and then just decide to just get up and leave. No, we made some sacrifices in order to have the fun that you saw that we had in paradise. And Kim, you're absolutely right. You should always speak to the head, not the tail, if you want the truth. Because one thing that I'm a firm believer of, everything that happens in our life directly, there's one constant. We are that one constant. And there's a lot of people who like to speculate and like to assume stuff. But you know the old adage, when you assume stuff, you tend to have a tendency to make a what out of yourself. Because I'm not going to let you make one out of me. And the truth of the matter is this. almost did not go on that trip. I almost did not go on the trip. And I almost didn't go on the trip because I started to let personal feelings, personal issues, etc. rob me of the love, the happiness, and the joy that you all saw through those pictures. It was not putting on a front. It was real. Because as much as my 4 cousins that I went with, as much as my dear friend in Detroit, and as much as the 2 friends that I have met now, and they're basically family now to me, as much as they enjoyed themselves and they felt that they needed that trip, that getaway, a legitimate argument could be made that I needed it probably more than anybody. And I think back to conversations that I had with certain individuals in my family and even certain friends that I'm close to that basically told me, Arian, you need to go on that trip. You probably need it more than anything because you've been through hell and back in the aftermath of the passing of your father. And so I thank my cousins especially for talking me into going on that trip when they got some things shared with them going back all the way to November of last year. Because that's when really stuff hit the fan, so to speak. That's when they were previewed to information that a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people may have a clue to now. But that's neither here nor there. Nevertheless, we enjoyed ourselves. We had a ball. We bonded. And we really didn't have a care in the world. And I got some messages. I got some text messages. I got some inbox messages from people. And Kim, I love the post that you made earlier because I almost decided to go on a rant yesterday and today because of some of the foolishness that was in my inbox. But I'm not going to do that because one of the things that I learned from being on vacation is that when you have the time to really sit back and just unplug from everything, unplug from the things that you normally do, and you just get to sit back, relax, and just be in the moment. I was in paradise, and I was in paradise with 7 people that I got love for. You know, it's cool to be able to enjoy it with family and friends, including one friend that I had not seen in 2 years. You know, and the fact is, I'm just going to be honest that had that person not went, I probably would have fell out of place. But because they decided to go, it just made it even that much more fun. You know, I had a chance to let my cousins know that, you know, we had an extra person going. And, you know, they got amped again, you know, and it's just, it was something that I can't even put into words, and I'm very good with my words, but I can't even put into words what that trip meant to me. And I'm glad I went too, cause I really am. And, you know, I look back and, you know, Dennis said it best that when the Facebook memories come back around this time next year, we got a lot of memories that we're gonna be able to, reminisce on, and just to be able to reflect on. And we're going to add some more memories, because that's just basically the first trip. That's not going to be the only trip, because whether we were sitting at a dinner table or whether we was in the ocean with the fishes, we were talking about doing another trip. And so what I learned from that is that one of the lessons that I learned, one of the biggest lessons that I learned, is that you can spend a lot of time planning stuff and stuff doesn't get accomplished. It doesn't mean much until you take action on it. It doesn't mean much until you pull the trigger, until you make a decision that, you know what, this is what's going to happen. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to set the intention, and it's going to happen by whatever means necessary. And anybody that has a problem with it, they can just kick rocks. They can just kick rocks. Because I had people in my inbox, and I'm going to just keep it 100 with you all. I had people in my inbox calling themselves trying to show concern or trying to genuinely act like they care, they're happy for me, and so on and so forth, when in fact they're just being nosy and they have a hidden agenda. Why do I say that? Because when you are around somebody for a certain amount of time, you pick up on certain tendencies. Now, it's amazing how you hear from people when you decide to go out of the country, but when there are certain life-changing moments that happen in your life, you don't hear nothing from them. And that is sacrilegious to me, because it's amazing how you can sit up and see that I have a passport in my hand and I'm going out of the country. And we decided as a group that we were not going to say where we were going. That was a group decision. And I was 100% for it, because everything is not for everybody. But it allowed us to set an example that when you set an intention, when you decide to make a decision to do something, that the universe will conspire to make it happen. Because we all have different lives. And not only that, but we was able to come together. And while we were at this resort, we got a chance to interact and chop it up and enjoy people from various backgrounds, various walks of life, whether we agree with it personally or not. It didn't matter in that place. If we wanted to have a drink, we had a drink with them. It didn't matter if they were heterosexual or if they were homosexual. Did not matter. We enjoyed each other. We enjoyed each other's company, because you should be able to have a good conversation regardless to what their background is, regardless to if you agree 100% on everything. And I don't know two people that agree 100% on everything. I don't care if you grew up in the same house. I don't care if you come from the same bloodline. No two people agree 100% of the time. But the question is, can you put the personal stuff aside? Can you put the disagreements aside and enjoy one another and be in that moment? And we were able to do that over these 6 days. We were able to do that, and to be able to, interact with Latino people and Caucasian people, and we had a chance to interact with people from Philadelphia, from Detroit, from Atlanta, from South Florida. And we were able to really enjoy each other's time, company, and energy. And that's really what it all amounts to, especially when you're on vacation. That's what it amounts to. And One of the things that was really important to me is that I got a chance to really sit back and just think about the future. And just think about how bright the future is as one chapter closes in my life and another chapter opens. And that's important. And that's important to realize, and that's important to understand, because taking a vacation is important. And I highly recommend it for anybody, whether you have children, whether you don't have children. I recommend it for those, whether you're single or whether you're married, or whether you are married and you feel like you've lost that spark or whatever. Going on a vacation, going to the Valentine like the 8 of us did, like the Trouble Squad did, it gives you a chance to put things back into proper context and into proper perspective. And you actually have the opportunity to hit the reset button. And you actually have a chance to realize why you signed up for what you signed up for. And I'm more or less speaking to those who are married, because regardless to what the issues may have been prior to you getting on vacation, ask anybody who is married or who has children. When you get into a serene environment, or when you get into that happy place, so to speak, all the nonsense and all the BS around you don't matter no more. Don't matter. Because all you're focusing on is being in that moment. What do I mean by that? There was one night after dinner, and I believe it was the second night. Matter of fact, it was the second night, and I should have known that, because it was July 6th. And that date is important because it would have been my parents' 36th wedding anniversary. But obviously, unless you've been under a rock, you know that my father passed last year. And so I decided to do a little tribute to them because, to be honest, my father liked to have his little drink. He liked his crown and so on and so forth. That ain't me. But my mom had went to the Bahamas recently. She went to the Bahamas back in May. And I decided to have a Bahama mama as a tribute to my parents, to kind of salute them, because without them, there is no me. And the fact is, I got some inbox messages about it. And I expected it. But one of the things that you need to understand is that I don't criticize anybody that does something that I disagree with unless they ask me. Now, if they don't ask me, I'm not going to volunteer my opinion, because in the end, when do opinions really matter to people? Typically when they're asked for. That's the only time an opinion really matters, is when someone asks for their opinion. And so I had a chance to enjoy myself. And I had a chance I literally got up on stage and danced. And they played the one of the songs from the Fresh Prince. And it's the Jump On It song. And so one of the guys that went with us, Kurt, he asked me, man, he was like, hey, I'll get up on stage if you get up on stage. I'm like, you know what? We in paradise. Why not? Let's do it. So we got up on stage. And my travel companion wasn't expecting that. So he got up on stage, and basically that's when the turn up was really on, because everybody else got up on stage. It was 8 of us. They started playing. I think they played Country Grammar that same night. So obviously most of us are from St. Louis. So we had to rep for our city, and then the rain started coming down. We didn't care. We still turned up. We did not care. And for the first time in my life, I didn't care. I didn't care. I was with people that I love, that I appreciate, that have known me pretty much forever. And I think that was the first time in a long time that they really saw me happy. They really saw me have peace that I hadn't had in a long time. And we did a lot of things that we talked about as kids, because I can remember having conversations with my older cousin Dennis and my younger cousin Donald. And I remember when we were kids, how we sat up and we talked about how we were going to do how we was going to do certain things once we got older. And, it's better late than never. But it seems that we've kind of set the tone for stuff going forward, because even though that was their second time at that same resort, they said that they had a better time this time than they did the first time when it was just them and their wives. So, so the thing about it is, we're looking forward to the next trip, and this is just really the start of something. And I would recommend any family do something like this. I would recommend it, because regardless to the drama that may go on in families, because every family has drama. I don't care how you try to mask it up. I don't care how saved and sanctified and filled with the Spirit you act like you are. The reality is simple. Every family has drama. I guarantee if a family, and it's an adults only thing, so you leave the kids at home. But if a family goes on a vacation like my family and I experienced, I guarantee you and I assure you, whatever the dysfunction was, it won't even matter. You won't even think about it. You won't think about it. You won't have a care about it in the world, because you're going to be able to enjoy each other. I had a chance to eat a lot of food that I never even thought I would partake of. I had filet mignon for the first time, medium well, of course. I went to on our last night, and I'm sure that all of you all saw those pictures where the women were dressed in white, and every last one of them were gorgeous. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't really care. I mean, most of them are family anyway, but all 4 women were gorgeous. All 4 women. We all decided, like half of us decided, to go to this Indonesian restaurant. And over the last couple years, I became a fan of Thai food. When I tell you that I had this dish called Pad Thai, I am still salivating over how good that Pad Thai was. I still have that taste in my mouth. Like that's how fire it was. And we had 4 courses, but that was the second course. Had I just ate that, I'd have been good. I'd have been good, because it was like that was the top, and then what was actually the main course I think I had like some tandoori chicken or whatever. It was kind of a fall off. But had I just ate the pad thai, I'd have been good. And then had the dessert, and I'd have been straight. But had I not went on that trip, I wouldn't have experienced it. And then being that it was my first time, did you just ask me, was it delicious? Yes, it was delicious. It was fire. Yes, it was. I can't even put it to words how good it was. Like, I just can't put it into words how good it was. But the thing about it is this. Had I decided not to go on the trip, the things that I experienced, the things that you saw in the videos, the things that you all saw in the pictures would have never happened. I would not have experienced it. I had a chance to go out in the ocean, to snorkel. I've been scuba diving before, but I had never snorkeled before. To snorkel and to see stingrays, which I've actually had a chance to hold a stingray, a big stingray before, and to be able to enjoy it with several people was amazing. To be able to get on a catamaran and to literally see people get on this device that's kind of similar to parasailing, and to see the excitement and the horror on their face, to see them enjoy it, unbelievable. To be able to see some of us go zip lining, to see some people go horseback riding, to see all of us ride ATVs. When I tell you, the ATVs was the highlight for me. It was the highlight for me. I didn't care how hot it was. I didn't care. We kicked it. To be able to share a stage with old friend, with an old friend, and with new friends, and with my peoples, is something that I can't put a price tag on. And for what we all invested, we definitely got our return on our investment. And not only that, if they didn't know who the Trouble Squad was when we arrived, they sure enough knew who we were by the time we left. Because when you got random people coming up to you, high-fiving you, telling you, man, for somebody that say they can't dance or say they don't like to dance, you actually can dance. You know, I had some Latino people come up to me and tell me that. Because I always said gangsters don't dance, we boogie. But I enjoyed myself to be able to experience a foam party, to be able to wobble in the pool, to wobble at a foam party, to do the Cupid shuffle at a foam party. I never experienced a foam party, and then I even had a chance to engage in some beverages I've never had before. I had never heard of a Superman. I had never heard of, I had a Bahama Mama and a Banana Mama. I had never even heard of a Banana Mama, but that Banana Mama was fire. And I actually got to shout out the homie Danielle for that, because she hit me to that. So, nevertheless, at the end of the day, what are the biggest takeaways that I want you all to take from the excitement that I share with you that has happened to me while I was on vacation? Number one, stop going through life not enjoying it. I'm going to say it again. Stop going through life not enjoying it. And I say that as someone who has always been put in a box. And I'm just being honest with you. I'm saying that as someone who spent most of his life living up to unrealistic expectations that were placed on me by other people. And so I'm not playing the blame game because there were choices that I made. Also, if you're going to go on vacation, you might as well go on vacation with people that you know that you're going to actually enjoy spending time with. I enjoy spending time with every last person that I went on vacation with. I enjoy the fact that my cousins Kelly and Ray were able to enjoy Puerto Rico, although the plan was for all of us to be in Mexico. But, stuff didn't work out that way. But at the same token, it was like they got the honeymoon that they never got because they got married almost 7 years ago and they weren't able to take a honeymoon. And since then, they've had 2 kids since then. But because they were able to be able to get away, I guarantee you, I don't have to ask them. I just know that their marriage has been strengthened. I don't have to ask my cousins Donald and Monica, has their marriage been strengthened because they went on this trip? I don't have to ask my cousins Dennis and Brandy, has their marriage been strengthened because they went on this trip? I don't have to ask my new friends turned family, Wema and Kurt, has their marriage been strengthened because they went on this trip? I know it has. I know it has. Because the bonds, the knowledge, the interactions, the moments that we had were priceless. And I'm looking forward to it happening again. I don't have to necessarily ask my homie if she enjoyed herself. I know she did. Not only that, because she told me. But a smile don't lie. A genuine smile does not lie. And it's funny because in the process of me genuinely smiling, I almost had to check somebody because someone had a problem with my smile. But that's neither here nor there. That's just water up under the bridge. But, nevertheless, I'm looking forward to the next trip. And ironically, I got 2 trips over the next week and a half. I got to go to Tennessee this weekend, and then I got to go to Chicago the following weekend. So you're talking three trips in 3 weeks. And it's necessary. And I just added another trip that I'm taking to a place I've never been. But I have a very, very good trip. I have a very good reason to go on that trip. And because the trip after that, So nevertheless, you got to live your life. Otherwise, life will live you. And I would rather live life than allow what people say to dictate decisions that I make. Because at the end of the day, Bobby Brown said it best. I don't need permission to make my own decisions. Why? Because that's my prerogative. And if they don't have the balls to come and address me directly, but instead address people around me, that's a coward move. I have no respect for it. I'm not hard to find. If someone wants to know what's going on with me, instead of assuming, why don't you go to the source? Why don't you go to the source? If I can leave any nugget with you tonight, that's the nugget I will leave. You really want to know something and you have direct access to the source, why don't you ask the source? and make your own decision instead of listening to hearsay, instead of going off of speculation, you know. But I felt compelled to share this podcast. I actually had the audacity to go to work today. I should have stayed home. I really should have. But you probably couldn't tell because of the energy that I've had on this podcast tonight. But I should have stayed home. But nevertheless, the day is over with. But I had a ball. And I have to thank, again, I can't say it enough. I have to thank Dennis, Brandy, Donald, Monica, Weema, Kurt, and Danielle for all, you know, for the time that we shared. And also to Kelly and Ray as well, because whether we were in Mexico or whether we was in Puerto Rico, we turned up. The turn up was real, and I don't even like that phrase turn up, but it was real. And it was live. And to quote a line from Coming to America, my all-time favorite movie, I will cherish this experience for the rest of my life. So having said all that, I'm going to call this podcast a wrap. Thanks so much to everyone who is tuned in. I trust that it was of value to you, that I gave you something to think about. Words don't do justice. It just don't. And to be able to experience it is something that I would recommend. If you want information on how you can experience that for yourself, I have direct contact with the person who booked our trip. I'll be glad to share that information with you all so that you can have a similar experience to what we experienced going to Rivera Maya, Mexico. So again, thanks so much for tuning in. It's yours truly, Arian Tyson, the Moving Motivator. Thank you so much. I will be back next Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 here in the Central Standard Time. And before I close out, shout out to Laura. Yes, she is. She is definitely a awesome travel agent. And like I said, if you want her information, hit me up. I'll pass that information along because I already am sending 3 couples her way that have hit me up already saying, you know, how can I be down? How can I experience that? You know, so they knew what time it was. They knew it was real. So, but again, take care. Have a blessed night. Talk to y'all later. Peace.